Evening all. Evening all. That's made better. How the hell is everyone? I've got down 5. Showing in. Mick will be one of them. Guarantee it, he'll be hovering there, Mick. No. Hang on. Put that there. Stay there for the booker. Hey, I was just thinking the other day. Trying to think of his name now. It'll come to me, I'll do that joke later. Forward, where did one go? Come back. Good evening, Valleys. How you diddling? Good to see you. It went up to 5, down to 4. What is happening? Can somebody please explain to me? What have folks been doing today? Because I've done diddly squat. I've done absolutely diddly do. Most I've done since, well, you may have seen it on the channel. Most I've done's built an Airfix kit. That was a good bit of fun. Enjoyable build. Howdy doody, Mick. Yeah, it was good fun, that build in the video. I only really did it as a fill-in one because I've not done a lot on me shaky hand shed for a bit, me model railway stuff, because I've been doing bits and bobs for me Pimp My Diecast YouTube channel. I've been doing some customs. Yeah, it's quite a nice. The video doesn't do it justice, Mick. It's a nice car. Nicer than I thought it would be. Finish is beautiful. Good evening, Scooby. Good to see you indeed. Yeah, it is. I've done the Corvette. The Corvette's finished for PB's birthday build. So I'll have to edit the video and put that in. But that is absolutely top banana. It's beautiful. Considering I built it from... It's a Franking Corvette. It's been built from parts from a few different Corvettes, Corgi ones. I've put them together. I've put wire wheels on it, which none of the Corgis, as far as I'm aware, none of the Corgis had wire wheels. They had alloy wheels on the last of the line, the Lazy Bones drag one, which the upper surface is a Lazy Bones drag one. But the earlier one had disc wheels, like hubcaps on it. So I don't think any of them had wire wheels. Frankenvet, that sounds good. It pretty much is, Mick. It's just bits as every... I pulled it out of my Spurs box. I've always intended doing a custom with it. And it's been in all my waiting to do box that I've split all with bits and everything. And I thought, today's the day. When I saw PB were doing a vet build for his birthday, I thought, today's the day. Get it done. And the colour is sheer palm. I did a black undercoat, followed by copper coloured Cosmic Sparkle, and then I sprayed the track brown candy over the copper sparkle, and then I clear coated it. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Mind you, the fade one, the yellow and green fade on the, get this right in a minute. Yeah, the yellow and green fade on the Buick Riviera is nice. Evening, Andy. England's playing now, there. I might not get a load in tonight then. I forgot who Scotland were playing, but they got hammered, didn't they? Allegedly. Well, you could see that coming anyway. It's not that often Scotland wins. I'm half Scots, and it's pretty much my second national team after England, but they never do anything, Scotland. Sad to say. I think the most Scotland have ever done is tear down the football posts at Wembley. I think that's the greatest achievement. Shouldn't laugh. But I'll never ever forget that day. Being half Scots and half English. So I had my mum on one side who's Scots, my dad on the other side who's English. There's a load of jocks ripping the goals down at Wembley. And I don't know whether to cheer or go, oh, that's awful. They're fucking funny. I think there were even some that took bits of the pitch home. If I remember rightly, I think they dug bits of the pitch out, took it home. Hey, if you do that right, if you take a bit of Wembley's pitch home, grass grows that much. You could have a full lawn of Wembley's offspring. Grow across. Funny. Jeez. Yeah, funny days. But yeah, like I say, it's my second team, but they're usually gone before England have, so I don't know. I've not watched England's form for a bit. I'd like to think they can do it, but all depends if we've got that World Cup team. If they do as well as they did then. No shame in what they did in World Cup last time. There's a lot of people said there was, but I don't think there any shame in how well they did. So what have others been doing today? Anybody had the 6 in now? Don't know who we've got. Hi, Jessica. Good to have you in. Good to have you tagging along, buddy. I've got loads of them. In fact, I'll go as far as to say I've got nearly 100 misbehaving locals that need attention in one way or another. Well, probably just under 100. Oh, which bus you doing, Mick? Yeah, I know it's the dinky one, but which one is it? They did a few buses. I thought that were funny, the one Kev did as a banger. Oh, they not done it yet. Mind you, is it still morning there, Jessica? It'll only be early, won't it, there? How does time work? I don't know. Yeah, it'll still be early-ish doors yet. There's still time, I presume. I'm presuming there's still time, buddy. Oh, that'll be nice. Be good to see that, Mick. In Dublin City livery. It'll be nice, unusual one. Yeah, it is few hours difference. I'm dreading ever getting a Father's Day card. I don't know of any yet. I think it's a bit late now. Shit, if one comes out the woodwork now and shit a brick. Coming over to me, Daddy, fuck off. Yeah, it's something unusual, Mick. I'll be good seeing that when you're done. Drain babies, explained Jessica. Fuck off, Mick. You're older than me. How does that work? I were a grudge baby, me. Somebody had it in for me, Dad. No, I wasn't, by the way. I'm a bad bugger. Shouldn't say that today. My dad's no longer with us. Yeah, but I do dread that, though. There might be one out there that could go daddy, I don't know. A few one-night stands, a few dubious women, a few pints, I don't know. Could be one around somewhere. I'm dreading it. I you owe me 30 years of presents. 30 years of presents and child support. Go away. Speak on no English. Ah, just again. Oh no. Jesus. Way to go, Valleys. Way to go. What were your daughter? What were your daughter like with that? I know one thing. I used to knock about with a girl, and I think she'd have gone for the relationship, but I weren't really interested. It was just company out on a bike, out on bike rides. But people that said, "Oh, how's your daughter?" Well, it's not my daughter. She's a friend, really. But I didn't take the hint. Like I'd say, we'd come to a crossroads, and I'd go, right, I'm going home, and she lived the other way, and she goes, oh, I have to get home as well, seated dog. And I pull up at home, and she'd pull up behind me on bike. And I'd say, I thought you were going home. And I'd stop and chat for a bit, and I'd say, anyway, I'm off in for a coffee, I'll catch you later. Well, did you tell her, Valleys, just look old? You're looking too, you're looking too young, put some rollers in or something. Don't want her to find out. Oh, I just love people. Brilliant. Yeah, they do say 60 is the new 30. I tried that argument with police, but it didn't work. You make me spit me tea. Twin set and pearls. I'm at that age now where I think that's sexy. Nice airline skirts or not airline, what is it? Nice pencil skirt. Ooh. Implant, pearls. Nice 50s or 60s hairdo short. Oh, don't. I'll see you in a bit. I'm just going for a shower. Yeah, hey, you know they cater for everything now online. Oops, that's another thought that's come out. Oh, yeah, valleys. Oh, yeah. Very true, Jessica. Very true. Too many. I mean, I just do this, see where it's going. I don't plan anything. I don't. Life's too short to piss about. I just do it for fun and a bit of relax. Same with anything I do on my channel. I don't stick to certain days. I don't. If I don't do anything for 2 months, I don't do anything for 2 months. If I do 5 in a week, I put 5 up in a week. People have got too much towards the want a business out of it and making it make money and sod off, behave yourselves. It's like that. I was watching that locomotion motion or whatever it were called in Sam's Trains. That's why I did that little snippet video. I made that at 3 o'clock in the morning when I got up for a piss. Thought, behave yourself, you like little children. So what, he used a snippet of your video? Life's too short. Get on. Somebody else got upset because locomotion motion takes the piss out of Hornby and stuff. And really, he's shut his channel down now. And he had some enjoyable videos because, let's face it, some of the things he was saying, apart from collectors to say they had them in the collection or Beatles fan, who's going to buy Beatles rolling stock? Beatles locomotive? From years ago, they concentrating there on the pensioners' end. And most of us aren't interested in shit like that. We'd rather put the money towards a genuine local or a genuine rolling stock. And then they wonder why they have to put a sale on for some of the shit they bought in. It's like that one, that little local, I forget which one it was. But they were selling, I think it was some sort of commemorative one or whatever, but they were selling it for practically nothing in the shop. And bring it on, sell it for nothing, get it home, take the body off it, respray it, detail it. You've got a nice, cheap new loco. It's just got so. What were it? It were the chocolate ones, that were it. It were the chocolate wagons. I mean, they're nice liveries, but really, does anybody really want them? You might see a couple on an exhibition layout, or a couple for people's displays that like chocolate, but whoever's in charge at Hornby one, they do want shooting, some of them. Yeah, exactly, Valleys. We've been there, we've done it. We've had bloody hell, what, 58? Me now, I've had my entire life with the Beatles. Because I was born 64, so I've had my entire life, and you're like, I don't want them on a model railway thing. And the younger generation aren't interested in them. They're channeling their efforts in wrong direction. They should be looking at more ways to get the younger generation interested, instead of trying to forever plunder the silver pound, if you will, off us older generations. Because let's be honest, it's going to be a shrinking market. They've got to have young people in at the bottom to keep them going. Us lot are going to be a shrinking market. Some mornings I think I'm going to shrink before I get up. I think I'm due for the wooden overcoat today. Take me tablets, then loosen up and all's tickety-boo. But they really, really need to get some good ideas going for the younger generation. I've made my own stuffed valleys. I've made a pigs in blankets wagon for Shedmouth Junction's challenge. The wibbly wobbly wagons thing in it. That was fun. I made that pigs in blanket wagon. And I made a ghost train using Warhammer figures and stuff. That was a fun build. I used one of the small Hornby four-wheel carriages. I used one of them and I painted it up ghostly and everything. put a ghost on top of it and skulls peeping out the windows. And I put like a Grim Reaper figure on the footplate of the logo. He's not that good a Grim Reaper figure now. His arm with a scythe on fell off. I can't see it. Yeah, genuine Beatles You know that'll have some value, that Jessica. Original 60s Beatle memorabilia will have a value to it, but they're never gonna buy be a collector's item, these model Beatles ones. It's like how do I describe it? On models of yesteryear. For instance, the model Matchbox made a series, Models of Yesteryear, and they were aimed at the older generation market. Kids preferred the Matchbox super fast cars and everything. Now the money is, if you can get the smaller Matchbox cars, mint boxed, and the super fast wheels ones, mint boxed, they're not worth astronomical money, but unless you get a rarity or whatever, like a rare limited factory colour, a test shot or whatever, they're not worth absolute huge amounts, but the actual models of yesteryear, because collectors kept them in the box and mint, they're not worth a big buck. They're not really worth a lot. You can get them for practically nothing. Because one man and his dog kept them in the box thinking, oh, these are collectibles. Well, if you have that many that are boxed, they're not. The reason why boxed Dinky and Corgi toys make the money when they're boxed is because 99.99% of kids bin the box and they played with the cars, they lost half their paint, and that's why they're worth the money. How do you, Luke? Good to see you. Good to have you in, buddy. Luke's in on the first one. Folks, mixing here, Luke. They're cheap everywhere, Jessica. Models of yesteryear, it was because 99%, well, 90% of the market kept them in the box. So more, the biggest percentage of them are mint box they didn't get played with. It's like, I've got some locos I've kept in the box, but my locomotives I buy, one of the first things I do usually is take them out the box and bin the box. I've only about 7 or 8 of my locos I've kept the box for. Technically, Valleys, Ladoa Matchbox. The name Lado comes from, he was one of the guys that founded Matchbox and he was called Odell. And Lado is his name backwards. So technically, your Lado are Matchbox. It's one of the guys that founded Matchbox. Trying to remember his name, were it Frank Odell? But yeah, the company Lado is Odell's name backwards. I've got a few by accident, but some of them are nice. I've got one here somewhere, on the side somewhere hiding in all the other shit. I've got a standard fireworks Morris van. They did some nice models. You know the old police van they had in the 60s, the black one, the big Morris? Odell did that one and they did some nice liveries on it. I've got two of them somewhere, the standard fireworks version. I don't know where, I'm sure one's around here somewhere. But they've put all sorts on it. I think they've released it as a British Railways van. Standard fireworks. I think they might have done ever-ready batteries on it. All sorts they've done on it. It's a nice van. Used to get them everywhere at one point. There used to be one near me in there was an old mill grounds, and there used to be a Morris van in there, and I always wanted to go and have a look at it. But they were a big angry German Shepherd, and I thought better of it. I thought I'm not on. Yeah, it'll be the same one, the Morris van. Oh, that sounds awesome, Valleys. That 176 scale for railway sounds awful. I like the old Scammels. They were a big old beast. Nicest truck I ever got a spin out in, a ride out in, an old classic truck. I used to, well, I've just joined again, but I used to be a member at East Lancs Railway in the Avebury Transport Museum, but I joined the Preservation Society, so you get a bit of everything in. I get free admission into Transport Museum, and I get so many free rides throughout the year on the railway. I think it's 3 free day tickets, and I get most of the year. On other occasions, I get discounts. So it's well worth the money. It cost me 30 quid to join, and you can save 40 quid on your ticket. So it's a winner chicken dinner. It is a Morris, pretty sure. Yeah, it will be for double O. Is it an Oxford one? Oh no, it's a Lado, you said, isn't it? I think I remember it. But yeah, there's some of them low loaders nice. I've been thinking I've got some bits of scrap stuff and that. I've been thinking, because I'm going to do it eventually for me later. I'm thinking of making some scrap loads up for me mineral wagons, you know. Have I got one here? No. Just when I wanted one, I haven't got a kit of one. Every other one of them, but not the mineral wagon. But like the Earthix mineral wagon, that sort of size. I'm thinking of making scrap loads for them. A few different ones and taking resin moulds off them. Well, no. Taking latex mould and then moulding resin loads. There's some that do them, but they're unrealistic ones they've used. Well, I wouldn't say unrealistic, but Depends where you go, I suppose, for scrapyard. But yeah, I'm thinking of putting stuff like barrels in and like tyres, well, not tyres, wheels and stuff like that. But yeah, mate. I'm not even asking how you pronounce that. Is it in the French area of Canada, Jessica? I'm guessing French area of Canada, although it may not be so. It's an unusual name. Guelph. But is it a French area of Canada? Because I know there's French areas and other areas. It's like my relationship status on Facebook. It's complicated. I've just blocked one woman. You know, I don't need them chat. Come on, being an ass. So I went, fuck it, block her. I don't need that shit in my life. Catch you in a bit, Valleys. All right. Cool. Yeah, nice knowing stuff about areas and that. Some I'll forget, some I take in. It's my old brain, it's getting on and worn a bit. Some days I could arrange my own surprise party. I swear I could. See if I've missed anything I'm looking up. I used to love looking at the wins and the Pickfords and the heavy removals. Ah, cool, Scott. Cool stuff. And it's weird, we've got stuff here near me. We've got a Scottish guy's tower called Grant's Tower over next to one of our hills. Right, it's collapsed and fell to bits now. Somebody's bought the ruins and built it up into one room somewhere to stop as a little summer house, but it was a tower that had collapsed. I don't think he's planning on building the full tower back. But it's just down the hill from Peel Tower, who was one of our famous sons in England. He was one of Bury's famous sons. He was Sir Robert Peel, who founded the police force. Boo! He founded the modern police force, and he was also a prime minister. Double boo! But yeah, he was one of our famous sons. And it breaks my heart now because you go down to everything he made in the area. His old house, they had a gatehouse, and they've demolished everything, the mills, everything, and built over everything. That sounds cool. Jessica, do you ever watch Scott Rail's channel? Jessica? ScotRail or SMT. They're two Canadian channels I listen into. There are a couple of good channels. SMT Mainline and ScotRail. There are a couple of good channels. At Christmas, SMT, he goes out filming the Coca-Cola train. Runs every year, the Coca-Cola train. It's cool. Yeah, they're good channels. I like him. SMT's a pretty cool guy. He has a good channel. He's very knowledgeable. Very smart young man he is. He's very clever. Like it doesn't faze him. He'll get whatever from wherever in the world not running and he'll repair it. It'll not necessarily be perfect. But I've not seen him fail to get one going yet. And he's bodged them. He's got bits of spurs off other locals that shouldn't theoretically fit, and he's made them. He's got one off brass locals running by bodging them together. He's knowledgeable. Yeah, the Coca-Cola train. It looks cool. I wish they'd do something like that over here. I don't think we have the locomotives you have. And the size of trains amazes me. You could stand at a railway crossing and be 25 and you could be drawing your pension by the time it's passed. Cool. Cool stuff. Oh, just get a sip. I might pop off into the back room in a minute and get me cars full up. Well, he might have seen my video, Luke. Have you seen the video of the Buick Riviera yet, Luke? Let's see if he's still there. He might have popped in, popped out. I'm nearly long enough now to get one of the girls to plait it. Cheers, Luke. Yeah, it was fun. I've got the Corvette video yet to edit, and the Corvette's nicer. That paint job, it looks okay, but it reacted. The paint, when I first put lacquer on, it reacted on the second coat. And I thought, well, put a couple more coats on it and see if it levels out again. And it did do to a degree, but it's left it a bit patchy. I know which paint it were that reacted. Unfortunately, it's that gunmetal one, which is a shame because that's got it's got a beautiful flake in it, but it reacts with me lacquer, which is a bit of a pisser because it's a beautiful flake. But hey ho, I'm not short anyway. I've got all I use the Cosmic Sparkle I've told you about from Createx. Yeah, I've finished the Impala. That was the video. That's the video I put up. And the Impala, the paint reacted. It reacted on second coat of lacquer. And it started crinkling and that. But a couple more coats of lacquer and it settled back down again. But it's a little bit patchy. If you look at it proper, you can see spots in it where it's wrinkled. So, and that it's the gunmetal undercoat I used on it for going under my candy. That's the guilty party, because it did the same on my Starsky and Hutch build, that one I did for last build, that Cops and Robbers build or whatever. It reacted on that as well. And I did same on that, sprayed a couple more coats and it settled again, but it's never quite right after. You get a nice finish on it, but it disturbs the flake. It works well together. I think it would better with that gunmetal underneath than if I'd gone with a silver, because I had a silver flake, and ironically that wouldn't have reacted, but it'd have made the yellow and green more vivid. I think the gunmetal were just right for the colour scheme. But I think if I'd have gone with a silver flake, it'd have just been that bit too much, too vivid. I think the gunmetal worked, which I'll have to have a look if Createx do a gunmetal flake. I'm sure they will. If they don't, I can calm a silver flake down with black candy. So one way of doing it, I mix a bit of black in with a colour. But you can't really do that with the yellow, so you'd have to mix it in with your sparkle. Are we back, Valleys? Yeah, should do, Luke. I love working out what'll work and what won't work. I'm getting there now. It's an hard route, really, because I'm still learning how to apply them and what's best way of spraying. And I still screw up, but I'm getting there gradually. The best advance in my painting was getting that proper automotive clear. That stuff off eBay. That was my best move forward on my paint jobs. But now I want to improve it a bit more so I can hone it to the consistency I want it. I want to buy the lacquer hardener and thinner separately. I don't know, you work in trade, can you get that for us? I don't want to buy big volumes because you don't need a lot just for a corgi car, do you? Yeah, you only need minuscule amounts. You can't really go into them and say like, can you fill that with lacquer for me, mister? Yeah, can you fill that one with hardener? So that'll take, where's something big enough? So I'll take one of them full of thinner. That'll be awesome, that, Luke. If you can. I'll have to get on to you. Send you some more models or something. Feel lad, I've got plenty of them. Maybe a couple of cars or whatever. I've got loads of shit stocked. Hey Luke, did you have a look on, what's it called, that Temu? Did you have a look at that Challenger? Or Charger, I think, sorry. Think it's a Charger. It looks awesome, you know. I think it's 1/32 scale, so it's a pretty big Charger, that. You could do something nice paint-wise with that. Yeah, you could definitely do something nice paint-wise with that. Here's one for the railway guys. Does anybody paint their own liveries on the locos? You like me? Every time I go on eBay, I buy something. I'm trying my best to stop off it. Even stuff I don't really need at the moment. I had that kit and I was looking through, and I'm going to make it eventually. Maybe sooner rather than later. But all I did was looking through at that, and I found some masks for the canopies and wheels and stuff. So I went, I need some of that, bought them. They were only £3, but yeah, like the funny age yesterday, all the automotive paint suppliers where I live have disappeared. There used to be one that did fill spray cans for you could buy small quantities and you could go in and get all the automotive stuff. Well, they're long gone. If I'd have had any trouble getting them trade-wise or anything, I had a mate that worked restoring trucks, and I could give him the money and ask him to add it to his list for how he were getting, and he'd get it me, but it's a long while since I've done that. I used to work with him. Like I used to drive and engineering, and I used to restore the trucks. That were fun. Like company, if they wouldn't buy a truck, but they'd spend money redoing it up. Like we'd put all the new boarding on, put underruns on, repaint the cab, do any welding that needed doing. Like what? I worked there 2003 to 2005, I think it was. And if they could avoid buying a truck, they'd get it in the workshop and fully restore one. We got fun. Welding the steps back up and everything. Cab steps welded up, and I'd chip all the shit off the chassis. Well, get them up on ramps and give them a good power wash first. Get all shit off, steam clean it, then repainted and, well, chip all the flaky bits off, repaint it. Used to be good fun. I've got some pictures somewhere of one of the ones I did. Share them with you at some point, Luke. I used to drive them and restore my own fucking trucks. Charming. I used to try and avoid getting them dirty because I knew at some point I'd have to repair it or repaint it. But yeah, we used to get the vinyls made up from and with company name on, get vinyls done, remake all the boarding at the side, remake the bed. Like, you don't get me wrong, they used to go out immaculate. My mate, though, he was fuming one day. He did one and it was beautiful and it went out. And we had a right thug of a driver. And I've got photographs of it, Luke. God, you can look down into the engine and you can see the conrod out the side of the engine. He come back, he said, I'm blown it up. I said, right, we're fuming. He went, you wanker. Yeah, conrod poking right through side of engine. That's not good. He said it's down on power. Yeah, I think we can see. Yeah, he was funny. That's what he said, you know. He said it's down on power. He'd had to get recovered, but he went, yeah, it's down on power. Yeah, it might be. Big conrod stuck through side of truck engine. He was a thug, though. He trained me on the route, and I was like, can I drive and just tell me where we're going? Because you scare the shit out of me. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I didn't hang around either, so I couldn't really call it. I really pissed the staff off at a McDonald's drive-through when I took a truck through. It's great when you get to window and they go, that made me piss myself laughing. They were the old Leylands. I'll show you a picture. Leyland 7.5 tonners, Luke. We drove flatbeds, curtain siders. He was forgetting engineering stuff on and off. Metals, because we used to heat treat metals. Last engineering job I did. We used to do it up to aerospace spec. I used to go to BAE Systems and I'd go to Rolls-Royce regular. I went to Rolls-Royce one time and I was taking back a jig. Now this jig, you'd think they'd do everything in-house at Rolls-Royce, but they got. And this amazed me, it blew my mind. But you think a company like Rolls-Royce would do all their own engineering. And I picked up this jig it was for the Rolls-Royce Trent Thou engine. They were just developing it at the time. And I picked up this Rolls-Royce Trent Thou jig. And some daft pillock at Rolls-Royce had dropped it. And it was massive. It was the size of a truck because it's a jet engine jig for jigging up the engineering. And what you do, you turn the metal to the size you want it for inside the engine. Then you clamp it into the jig and it's got all the marks in the jig for drilling it, etc. Where they want. It's for precision engineering. Can't go wrong, allegedly. Anyway, some daft pillock had dropped this at Rolls-Royce and it was bent. So we got it to straighten out, heat it up, and just lie it flat on a flat bed and heat it till he had read, and it just dropped out the bend. Luckily, they got off with it and they loaded it onto my truck. And he said, if you damage that, don't come back. I said, why? He said, you don't want to know how much that cost. He said, let's put it this way, it's not far off 1 mil, just that one jig cost. And I went, oh, and the amazing thing was, this is what amazed me most, it was made by Kawasaki Industries for Rolls-Royce, so it was made in Japan. So we couldn't make it precise enough. We let the Japanese do it. And it amazed me because I always thought we'd do our lot, especially Rolls-Royce, would do all their own in-house stuff. But yeah, it was a bit amazing. But I went into Rolls-Royce and the size of their shops, they're amazing. There were an old story years ago for Rolls-Royce's wind tunnels. How true it is, you can take it yourself, how true it is. But they used to run jet engines, and to test them for bird strike, they used to throw chickens into them. And there were loads of damage on the fan blades and everything. And somebody actually said, you know, what birds are you using to throw at these? And he says, chickens. And he says, Jesus, they're making a lot of damage. And one bloke turns round and says, do you think it'll help if we defrost them? But yeah, now whether that's true or not, you can take it. But it is a Rolls Royce. And Luke, I'll tell you what, Luke, that's something interesting. The other day, I get it regular here. The Airbus Beluga goes over my house on its approach to Chester, depending on which way they're going in on the runway, I presume. But I've had it over here a few times. I've missed photographing it a few times, but one day I got it plain as anything and as low as anything. If I'd have had my camera, I'd have had a beautiful picture. But the other day it passed over and it were above the clouds. The cloud were low level. They certainly did, Valleys. They certainly did. Valleys has said Boeing used to use ferrets to run cables through aircraft. I think they still do, to be honest, you know, Valleys. I think they still do. Ferrets are ace. They're a brilliant animal. Fantastic animal. Friends had them. You will, you're right next to. I'd love to come down there and watch them. I'll have to come over and watch them and come and see you, Luke. Come over for a day's photography. I've never been over there, but it's Airbus. They come in and out for the wings and other components, I suppose. But it's mainly the wings they do, isn't it? Is it Herwarden, they say? How is it pronounced? Herwarden? I don't know. You can't really tell me because it's spelt the same however you say it. But yeah, I'd love to go. I'll have to plan it on one of my holidays this year, I think, Luke. Pop over, see you. Ah, motherfucker. Trying to think of his name. Hang on, what's his name? Let me look it up. I'll be 1 second. I'm looking something up here for something funny. That's it. Samuel L. Jackson mentions the word mother over 300 times in his movies, but don't make the mistake of buying them for Mother's Day. Excellent. Is it near any railway stations, Lee? Lee Luke, for God's sake. I was just thinking of Lee from Oldham then. Yeah, is it near any railway stations, Luke? If it is, it's a go, because I can get across to... Which one would I head for? Best one to go to get me near that cafe. D-side, cool. It'll be an excuse to take that mofo out with me telephoto one. Proper. It's an older one, but it's a pro level one. Memory cards, astronomical. Oh, it's out of minutes in there. Memory cards like that. Massive get here. Massive memory card in it. Ugh. It is, I get some good results off it. Well, that and 50 years like practice. Got some nice results at Manchester. I like it. I like it when it's wet weather, when you get the contrails off end of the wingtips and like mist as they're on runway. I like wet weather shots of them. Good job, really, where we live, isn't it? Yeah, but I've done all sorts. I've done motorcycle photography, aircraft. I've done car photography. Yeah, they do have it. I used to work many, many years ago. I used to work freelance at my mate's studio, and I've done, or in photography clubs, so I've done studio work with them with models and stuff. I've had a few that were absolute darlings. There's one I actually painted one of them. She was a stunning girl. I photographed her and I painted her from one of her photos. But she was a nice girl. They used to get some stunning models. Made Katie Price look like Les Dawson. God, that's a state now, isn't it, Katie Price? Jesus, she looks like Pete Burns, doesn't she? And then, yeah, she does, though. I don't understand what people see attractive in her. When she was younger, she was stunning before she started pissing about, but she looks like bloody Pete Burns now. Granted, Pete Burns' tits weren't as big. Oh, rough, not in it. She couldn't sell enough tickets for us singing the other day. Well, that's her thought. She don't possess any talents by showing her tits. She has no other visible talents, and she's too old for that now. There's a lot younger, prettier girls coming up the scene. Well, you look at it, you think how the other half lives. She's bankrupt and lost her house and everything, but she's gone into an house that's just been completed by the builders, like a new building, and it's about a 6 bedroom, big detached house, and you think, what the fuck? They're just on another planet, these celebrities. It's like Bradley Wiggins, I read the other day. Bradley Wiggins, he had 13 million and he's been declared bankrupt. And he's couch surfing on friends' couches. 13 million and you're doing, really? What on earth were you playing at? Where was your head at? Yeah, I know, mate. I know it's a cruel mistress, but we're not talking about people like you, Mick, and others. We're talking about multi millionaires, and they've blown it all. And people like Katie Price, she's not. I bet if you got down to it, she's not a nice person. I reckon she'll be a bit of an arsehole. Well, says it all, some of the attitudes she has. Well, no, not really, Mick. You can stay more level. I mean, there's people. It's not the entertainment industry because a lot can be. How do you say? They look after the money. They behave reasonably, and they keep hold of the stuff. It's an individual's personality, and it's her that's caused it all. It's nobody else. You look at Jim Davidson. He was a drinker, and he doesn't particularly do anything now. He does bits of stuff. He has his own podcast sort of thing and his own station, but he's got his own luxury yachts and he looks after it. He doesn't do stupid things. There's plenty that look after the wealth, and it's not the industry that's cruel, it's the people not looking after themselves and being silly. A lot do, Mick, a lot do. Like Paul Daniels, fucking hell, he was boring. Debbie McGee were bought, he never went broke. He used his money wisely. Thing is, with a lot of them, It's like Katie Price. She's got the idea. She'll have had millions at one point. She would have had it. The money. But she got the idea. Tomorrow will never come. I'm always going to be this successful. There's always something round the corner. If you realise that industry, and you know yourself, mate, it's fickle, and you think, well, there might not be another tomorrow. I might be finished and washed up the day after. I'll put this back. I'll look after this. I'll squirrel this away. And some are smart enough, but others, they go, oh, I'm top. Everybody knows me. I'm an household name. This will never end. It does. Well, that's it, mate. George Best. You know, I quite like George Best. He was a very silly lad. He could have been, with his given talent, George Best could have been as good as Pele. He was still damn good, but they couldn't get him sober and to turn up. He was usually humping a bird somewhere, or best. Yeah, I've got to admit, I wouldn't. It's not something I'd ever fancied, Mick. I'm fucking useless at playing instruments. You have that talent. You're a good player. But I've got 2 guitars. I've had them over 20 years. I'm still clueless with them. I know about 4 keys. I can manage a few intros, and I can nearly manage Layla. Not Layla, Lola. Met her in a bar down in Old Soho. It isn't an her. Yeah, I can manage that. I can manage Lola. Coca-Cola. Pepsi Cola. La 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 Lola. Bum 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 bum. Yeah, I can manage that, but yeah, it isn't a bird, mister. Oh, Luke, you took me back to a day then, back in 1986. I can even remember the year. I used to wear, you're of about the same age group, not far off, I don't think. But 1986, everybody was wearing stretched jeans and they were stonewashed. And a big name round here were dollar jeans. And they were a second skin. And I dated this girl at the time. She was a stunner. Everyone were chasing her. And I ended up with her. I was with her for a year and a half. But I used to wear these dollar jeans and they were skin tight, stretched jeans. And one day I was with her. I went bog. Come back, I zipped up a bit too quick. And there were bits of pink sticking past me jean, me zip, coming through the bits, like wrinkly bits sticking out the other side. I'm like, and girlfriend goes, what's up with you? I got my foreskin stuck in my zip. And she says, come here. And I goes, be gentle. And she says, I will be gentle. And she just grabs it and goes, wallop. Oh, no way. I was sucking her for half an hour. I mean, you can't even put a plaster on it. Waste the time trying, but you couldn't if you tried. Soprano, I thought I'd died, Mick. I thought I'd honestly died. She thought it were hilarious. Oh, I was in pain. Bless her heart. Yeah, year and a half. We went our separate ways though. She got fed up of me being pissed all the time, I think. When I weren't pissed, I was riding a motorcycle. Occasionally both. But no, don't say that. It wasn't me beans, Jessica. I'm a cavalier, if you know the saying. It wasn't me beans, it was me. It was me cavalier that. I don't know whether if you've ever heard the saying, Jessica, are you a cavalier or a roundhead? It's probably more in. It's probably more a British thing because of the Civil War. You might not have heard it in Canada. See what it was, you had Oliver Cromwell, he were in charge of Roundheads, I think it were. And you had the Cavaliers on the other side. And they had the big floppy hats and all the feathers on it. It basically means, have you been circumnavigated? But jeez, oh, that stunk. You know you've done wrong when you look down and you go, hang on, my zip's fastened and there's still bits on the outside. I think I'm going to scream. Yeah, never again. I've not done it since. We're joggers. I even went to my mate's wedding in joggers just to avoid it happening again. Oh, Jesus, Jessica. I'll tell you an old tale. Years ago, I bought, back 1990. I bought a VW Jetta GLI, which is basically a Golf. It's basically a Golf GTI with a boot lid. Oh, to you over there, Jessica, North America, you probably know it as VW Rabbit GTI. And he was telling me a story when his brother were working. He said, I've just done the brakes. He says, I hope you appreciate it because they put my brother in hospital. I said, you what? He said, he put my brother in hospital. I said, why? He said he were trying to knock the brake drum off because it were locked up. And he were hitting it with a lump hammer from the back side. And he was sat down on the floor hitting it, and he slipped with a lump hammer and hit himself in the nuts with a lump hammer. And one of them swallowed. One of his nuts swallowed to an astronomical size. My mate's description, he said, it was like a fucking grapefruit. He said he had to wear a towel to the hospital. And he said, without a word of a lie, he had to syringe the fluid out of it. I bet. Hey, I've been, before I went into medical stuff, I used to be first aider and everything, and I was factory first aider at that last engineering company I mentioned, where we did heat treatment. And I'm in one day, and I'm on factory floor, and it was a noisy factory to start with. And all I heard was this fucking astronomical boom. You heard it all the way through the factory. And I thought, fucking hell, and one of the engineers, nobody could stand him. He were a rude, ignorant tosser. Nobody liked him. And he comes staggering towards me because I'm first aider. And he goes, I've hurt myself. Yelping. And he had a black and red face. I'm not lying, it was black and red, his face. Full on singe. And he's staggering down the fucking factory. And he gets to me, and what set me off, I couldn't help him for laughing. I just burst out pissing myself laughing. Because I looked at him and he'd just got a wisp of smoke come up from top of his head. And it just went, this wisp of white smoke went out of his hair. And I was fucking crying. Couldn't help him at all. I said, you better piss off and see her in office, the other first aider. I said, because I can't help you. I said, I'm just dying. We'll have to go and see her, mate. So he walked into office and she saw to him. And she come out, she said, why didn't you see to him? I said, oh, come on, love. Nobody likes him. I said, what it was, he tried lighting the factory's heating system. And it were a gas heating system. And he were a smart ass and he always took shortcuts and everything. Anyway, he took a shortcut and it blew up on him. And it burns his face. He had to have like cooling stuff on it and everything. Because he was proper red and black and singed. And they did his face for him. She put cooling stuff on and he were all right. Didn't have to go to hospital. But then Tony, another one of the engineers, I got on well with Tony. He emigrated to Australia, that lad. But he absolutely despised him. He was his worst. He was Tony's worst enemy in the world. He hated him. And he come through and he said he did it in front of me. He said, I just watched him and let him do it. I said, Tony. He said, he's a thick bastard. He says, his third time he's done it now. He said, he's not learning. I said, he's a dumbass then. But yeah, third time, boom, he's done it again. And Tony went, dumb prick's done it again. He used to make me laugh, Tony. You were funny. I didn't take any of his advice. He was a sod. They used to have a bird worked in his office. And she went out one dinner time and a cup were on her desk. And Tony says, "Hey, she's out." He said, "I'd give you £5 if you wipe your willy round a cup." I said, "Tony, knock it off." I said, "He can't do shit." No wonder he moved to Australia. Yeah, that little Jetta, Mick, it was like a rocket. I got ton 20 out of it. I used to thrash it everywhere. I hit the engine limiter a couple of times. If you thrash a Golf GTI engine, or Jetta GLI in my case, it used to hit the cutout. They have a rev limiter on them. And I hit that twice and it cut my engine out twice. Yeah, I hit the rev limiter a few times on that GD would basically a GTI. Oh, GTI running gear. They were quick little suckers. Hey, and most amazingly, they were fast and it was one of the most economical cars I've ever had. Like injection engine, and it was proper economical. All my other cars have been carb engines. So that an injection, it was well economical. I was proper impressed. It was a nice comfy car as well and fast. I put Pirellis on it and it gripped well. It was impressive handling and stuff. Nice little car. If you had the choice of any of your cars back, which one would you have? Any car you've owned? Good evening, Martin. Good to see you, fella. We're just asking if you had the choice, Martin, of any car that you've owned, which one would you have back? I think for me, if I had any of them back, I think I'd want my Saab 99 2-litre back. That was a nice car. Beautiful comfort, heated seats, and it was a lovely car, built like a tank. It was a cracking car. Nice car, that, Martin. Nice valleys. I've driven quite a few BMWs. Driven an M3 and stuff. They're a nice car. Bloody quick, the M series ones. M3 was quick little beastie, and it sounded good as well. Nice comfy cars, like. We had one where I used to work at car and truck hire, and it were out on hire one time, and there were one of the lads where the boss got on well with him, and he says, my M3's out on hire and somebody's phoned up specifically asking for an M3. And he said to his mate, he says, "You're the only lad I know we want." He were an Asian lad, his mate, like. He said, "You're the only lad I know we want," and he brought his M3 in so he could hire it out to someone. And he brought in this beautiful pale yellow M3. It was gorgeous. He was like a buttermilk sort of colour. And he brought it in, and the next time I saw it, he'd come in on a recovery truck, full of mud and every single panel battered after it had been corkscrewed down a field. I thought, I turned round to him, I said, Amjad's going to love you, isn't he? He said, yeah, I think that's going to be written off. I'll have to buy him a new one. Yeah, but bloody corkscrewed down. Oh, what a shame. He were a beautiful M3 as well, that. Nice, unusual colour, and oh, he were gorgeous. I never saw his face once. Joking about that, Jessica, that was the worst car I ever drove. Not a Rolls Royce, but an Austin Maestro. Oh, what an awful car. And I used to work for Rover as well, but what? They had some awful vehicles. And I was driving this on a motorway, this Austin Maestro, and I were overtaking trucks on the downhill, and I were getting overtaken again by the truck going uphill. It died. It had no power when it got to hills. No power whatsoever. You know, it's funny that Freelander, mate, a woman had one next door to me, and the garage had it more than she had it. I've had loads of shite ones. I've had ones that have fell to pieces when I've been driving. Worst one, Martin knows it, Hillman Avenger Tiger. The chassis split on me on that one. Mind you, it were early in my driving career. I just bought it, and things like passing your test, having insurance and an MOT and stuff were optional. Anyway, I come off a road and put it in a garden, so that kind of help matters with a chassis. Yeah, I was never keen on the scenic, Mick. Some of them were not. I like the one that had the roof that went right back and you could look up. That were a nice feature, but in general, not a fan. RAV4's a good car. I used to work for Toyota. They're surprisingly fast. For a 4x4, they're surprisingly fast, a RAV4. They're porky little things. Can't fault Toyotas. Work for Toyota, it says everything. I worked for a few main dealers. Ford's, massive garage, about 10 mechanics. Peugeot, huge garage, about 10 mechanics. Toyota, we had 3 mechanics and a small garage. And half the time they were just mooching, hardly doing anything, but all they did was servicing. There were hardly any breakdowns. And that says everything to me. Quality car, Toyotas. Like I say, our mechanics at Toyota, there were about 3 of them. It were a tiny garage and they had hardly any work in. All they got in were services. And half of that were from the new ones. Or people coming in that needed things like, I think we got, all the time I was there, we got one in on a recovery truck, and it was because a bearing had gone on it, a wheel bearing. Changed the wheel bearing, you were off in 2 minutes. Whereas I worked for Forward, and Forward, we got this. It was a brand new XR3i cabriolet. It rolled off the transporter. It wouldn't start. None of the mechanics could get it running. It stood in a corner for 6 months being used as a bench, putting coffee cups. When they finally picked it up from the factory, it were full of coffee cup marks. Then never got it running. Don't know what we're up with, but never run from factory. Our Toyota dealership is still in same place. It's only a little dealership. And it's still in same place it was. What? I think they started up in, I think it was possibly the 80s, 90s. So about 30, 40 years ago, they've been there. And they just plod along. Most of the work selling new cars. Because they do very little in the garage. They sell new and they sell good second hand. But I'll be honest, I worked for Well, I didn't work for Peugeot. They were in our garage. Well, we had our valeting in their garage, in Peugeot's garage, because they had plenty of room. It was that big a place, they had plenty of room. And it was the same company that owned Peugeot and Toyota. Peugeot's gone now, Toyota's still there. But there used to be about 4 or 5 recovery trucks lined up every morning waiting for them to open at Peugeot. And the boss kept going over to them and say, "Can you park them across road down the back street? We're trying to sell these." So, yeah, they were. The thing with Peugeot, if you buy a diesel, they're great. They're a good car. Don't buy a petrol Peugeot. Do not, whatever you do, buy a petrol Peugeot. The diesels are cracking. Petrols, forget it. But yeah, it's like the Aussies said yesterday. If you want to go into the outback, buy a Land Rover. If you want to come out again, buy a Land Cruiser. It really is that simple. They're really that good. I mean, we had a fleet when I worked car hire. They had a fleet Land Rover Discoveries. Every single one of them had to go back for a new gearbox because they had gearbox faults on them. We had a Land Cruiser. Toyota never saw it. They were always out making money. Yeah, so if I were in market for a car now, I'm not at the moment. But if I were in market for a car, it'd be a Toyota. Because I'm not that asked what sort of car I have now. Nowadays, it's just transport for me, really. And I just want one I can... Years ago, when I was younger, I had all sorts of unusual stuff because I like working on them. And now I just want to get in one that I can start and drive. And the only one that fits that bill's a Toyota. That's reliable day in, day out. that'll keep going if you don't have the money to service it or whatever for a couple of months. It'll just keep going. It'll hold off till you can afford to do it. Like, your only option if you want a really reliable car is Toyota. Well, the Japanese are good, but not as good as Toyota. Yeah, as you get older, Martin, it is. When I was younger, I used to love and enjoy swapping engines and swapping trannies. Don't mention trannies. And, welding. I'd weld cars back together and bodywork and stuff. And as I've got older, I've gone, I can't be arsed with that shit anymore. Like, I had a few old Triumph Heralds. I've had Morris Minors. I've had other cars like my Saab. That Saab I got, you could get hold of the side pillar, and it were old, and what it had had, it had had a bump, so it had had work, and they hadn't coated it proper and protected it proper after, and it had rotted, and you could get hold of the side pillar and pull the bottom where it went in and out. So I had to weld the floor inside back onto the chassis, do the floor and the sill and everything, and get all the strengthening back into it, then get the outside done, the outside sill, inner sill, and had to weld all that up. It was solid when it was done, but somebody had done it and not protected it right after. My mate has one a bit later. His is a 70s, but he has a chrome bumper MG midget, my mate. Chrome bumper and round arches. I've been in it. It's hard work getting in and out of that midget. It's definitely a young lad's or lady's car. Yeah, can't fault him. I had one mate, his bodywork on the Toyota had rotted, and there were only the chassis holding it together. And it just kept going. He was a farmer, he just used it on farm. Yeah, they're a nice little car, but too small for me now. I'm not a teenager anymore. Oh, the video with the midget, Jessica. I did put a video of the midget up. I've put a video of my other mate's E-Type up as well. Did I put have you seen the mate? Start again, Jessica. Have you seen the video of my mate's E-Type, another mate? I don't know whether that's on my Pimp Me Diecast channel or if it's on my Shaky Hand Shed one. It'll be under ELR Car Show Visit. The E-Type, that is a nice car. I think it's on my Shaky Hand Shed channel if you want to watch it, Jessica. He let me sit in driver's seat and rev it, and oh, it's a beast. And he drives it like he stole it. Scares the shit out of you, because they're quick, but when you want to stop, they're not good brakes. You have to send a telegram to brakes when you want to stop. They're amazing vehicles. You can give one hell of a lot of punishment to a Toyota pickup. Like I say, my mate had one on farm and it were falling to pieces, but it just went. Yeah. Oh, not kidding you. And when you do brake, the E-Type, they're not the nicest. Balanced cars, they wallow. They wallow a lot. Because I were in it and there's nothing wrong with it. It's fully restored it from floor up. It's been a nut and bolt restoration, new suspension, and he knows what he's doing. It's just the type of car they would wallow with. It's all original equipment. He's not upgraded it. He's used all the original stuff it would have had on it. Tell you what, anybody who raced them had some nerve. Because they say, you get a lot of these old classic car nuts on the classic car forums, and they were fantastic handling cars. They were really quick. Yeah, they were quick, but you had to stop them again. And don't ever tell me an E-Type's a good handling car, because you look at it, they're a very narrow track on them. They're very narrow wheels together. The wheels are inboard for a start off, and they're very narrow, makes the car narrow. They're not a good cornering car. They were better than others at the time, but that weren't saying a lot about E-Types. It meant the others were atrocious. A lot of people, there was a guy customised one, an American guy, Fosse or whatever he's called, Fosse, however you pronounce his name, and he lowered it down a bit and he put bigger wheels on. He widened the track on it, and I said to people, you know something? I says, you're hating it, but that'd run rings around the original E-Type. I said, he's done all stuff it needs for handling. Oh, the original E-Type would be better. Dream on, look at how the car's laid down. It just screams it'll be faster than the old one. He's made it wider in the track. He's given it wider wheels. He's given it new suspension, new brakes. And you're thinking an old E-Type could beat that. He even give it an American V8. He put an American V8 in it. And I said, the V8 is probably more power putting out than the Jag's engine. But they were all, you know something? It's like that in restoration. You get Billy Big Bollocks in it. They all turn round and they say, oh, it's awful what he's done to that E-Type Jag. It's awful, it's sacrilege. And they've probably got one rotting away on the driveway that they can't afford to restore. They've got hold of the car and they can't afford to restore it proper. He upgrades one, does the custom job. I thought the custom job were pretty, the bodywork. Not everybody's taste, but it was an upgrade. But you get them. Like, if you get a chance, look it up. Look Fosse. I think it's F-O-S-S-A. Steve, I think his first name's Steve. And he did a full rebuild on a Jag. Jag E-type, and it was nice. And I said, you put that on a track against a normal E-type, and it'll leave the E-type. I said, you're only going off on being good at the time. But if you look at the other cars they were up against at the time, it wasn't great competition. Yeah, the wheels were too thin, and not only that, on the E-type Martin, it were a very narrow track. So they were tucked in, quite a bit inboard. So it made it a very narrow and long car. And that's not good for handling. What you need is you need to get your CG low down, a wide track on it, stick like shit to a blanket. That's it, correct. I thought it was FOSSE. That E-type he did were gorgeous. I know he put an American engine in it and a Furied B, but let's be honest about this on an E-type. They're great when they're running well, but you get an E-type that goes wrong, and you've got they're not easy cars to work on. And let's be honest, he's in America. It makes sense to put an American V8 in it. Abundance of spares. If you're running one, have an engine you can have no problem getting spares for. It's a no-brainer. I do indeed. The Ford Anglia. Ford Anglia super wide wheels, Carlos Fandango. Yeah, and that's because of his idea. He had a wheel on each corner, did a new idea for lane. It will low down, get your weight, low down, a low CG, stick like shit to a blanket. Yeah, Carlos Fandango, Rosanna. Here's one. Do you remember? And this is going back a bit, there might just be me remembers it. But do you remember Freddie Starr advertising Hofmeister beer? And he were dressed as Adolf Hitler, and he were in a BMW Isetta. And the line I never forget from that advert is him stood there as Adolf Hitler going, does anybody want to buy a second-hand boober car? Brilliant. Freddie Starr were awesome. But how they got away with that advert, Freddie Starr as Adolf. Does anybody want to buy a second-hand boober car? I keep looking to see if anybody's loaded that one up on YouTube. They were a cool car, Isettas. When I were a kid, there were an engineering company in front of where I lived. And one of the staff there had an Isetta. The daftest thing on them, though, was why have a car with a front opening door across the front and not give it a reverse gear? That was the funniest thing about the amount of people that drove them into the garage, right up to the wall, and then went, now what? They were a fantastic little thing. I'll tell you what, though, I wouldn't have liked to. There must have been one in a crash, and it must have been messy, because there were nothing of them. and they were very low down. If you hit another car in them, it had to be messy. To be fair though, this size, could no, Paul, don't say it. They could probably lift the car and you up and put it in back of ambulance. Brilliant. I do like them though. They have a following. Back in, what year were it? It'd have been about 93, 94. My mate was in motor trade, and I used to always be round his garage. And he turned round to me, he says, I'm going buying a car in. Bear in mind, we're in Manchester. He said, we're going buying a car in. And I said, yeah, where is it? He said, it's in Cornwall. He said, I'm thinking of going down and coming back tomorrow. I went, road trip. And he goes, yeah. And he were going looking at a Vauxhall Senator. And it were in Gweek in Cornwall, a nice picturesque little bay it's in, Gweek. And I went, yeah, okay, we'll head down there. And we headed down there, gets down to Gweek, and he said, it's up this farm road here. And we went up, and there were a big barn. And we looked at car, and then he said, oh, come round here and have a word. And we went round the corner, and there's a big barn. And we looked in, and in this barn, it's full of Dexian racking. This barn, and then you looked further, and the Dexian racking was full of bubble cars. They were everywhere. That must have been, he must have made a fortune. I bet he was saving them for when he retired. But he was full of bubble cars all the way around. Ice setters. I think he had a Messerschmitt in there. Nothing but bubble cars in there, though. Dexian rackings full of them where they'd hiked them up with forklifts and put them on the Dexian. There were loads of them in there. So they'd have been sold as projects, or some were probably broken for spares. Yeah, they're not a massive car, are they? Well, they were minute. They were one step up from a micro car. They were very, very small. They got you there, and they did a nice. They were a nice little thing, really. They were somewhat unusual, and it solved a problem, but I'd hate to be hitting one by some of the cars back in the day. Imagine getting hit in a bubble car by something like, say, a Ford Zephyr or one of the big Zephyr 6s or something like a Rover 90. Say something like that ploughed into a bubble car. I'd say your survival rate was 50-50. They're not as popular as they once was, Jessica, because you get a lot of dickheads at them. We did have the Ace Cafe down south in London, Martin will know, and they started shutting and that to encourage them to go away because they were causing problems with local inhabitants, and I wouldn't mind half of them weren't even decent cars that were causing the trouble. For the rest of them, they were stuff like shitty Peugeots or whatever, and they cause problems for the rest of them, and it's sad. We've got one, we have car now. I've not been over for a bit because I've sold my motorcycle and I don't have a vehicle now. But there's a place called Veterans Garage at our local airfield, and they do bike days and they do car days. I've been to the bike days, I've not done one of the car days, but it's all veterans and they run a cafe and bar, and they do car days, bike days, and the idea is they're raising money to make a garage premises for all veterans that have issues, whether it's mental health issues like, with PTSD and any issues settling in the community and stuff. They do stuff for them, and they're building towards having a garage where they can work restoring cars and get them off the street, give them a point to go out working with other guys they can talk to. It's a good charity. I've done a couple of things for them, rides and stuff. You get some nice cars there and stuff. If money were no object, what car would you love? I know what I'd like. If money were no object, I'd love a properly sorted 57 Bel Air. Custom, proper V8 in it and everything. A good custom Chevy Bel Air 57. They were a beautiful looking car. Cool. AC Cobra, cool. I got scared by one of them. They have a specialist car dealer here in Manchester, and it still is in Manchester city centre, and they called Bauer Millet. And one time I went in a few times, obviously, because I were interested in cars. But one time I particularly went in the showroom because they got older Niki Lauda's Ferrari 312 to put on show. And I thought, I can't miss that. Going seeing Lauda's 312. I thought, I can't miss seeing that car. Because I used to love the Lauda Rump battles. So I couldn't miss seeing Niki Lauda's car from them seasons. And they had an AC Cobra while I was there. And it was an original one. Not one of the kit ones, it was original. And back in 1980, back then they wanted 50,000 for it. So God knows what that car would fetch now. I know who you mean, Mr. Beast. I was watching him. He has a pickup truck as well, doesn't he? No. That's a nice choice, Aston DB9. Hellcat's good choice. Cobra, yeah. Had that. Daimler Dart, that's a blast from past, Martin. Most of them were cop cars. Yeah, most of them were cop cars. They're an unusual motor. They are nice, though, I've got to admit. Yeah, it wouldn't be one I'd go for, but they are a nice car. Trying to think, did the Daimler Dart have an alloy body, Martin? Trying to remember. I can't think if it had a custom alloy body. There was something about it. But yeah. Hey, could be a nice little earner, that. Go around doing everyone else's they haven't done. Charge them. Could be an earner. Anyway, how long have I done? I've done 2 hours and 11 now, lads. I think I'll shut it down for tonight and go and get a bath because I'm working morning. Then I'm off for another 3 days. Yeah, I remember you said that last time we were talking about them, but I thought it had an alloy body. I knew there was something about body. They were a nice car. Anyway, I'm going getting a bath, lads. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Oh, come on, Luke. I know you spelt my name wrong, but you could have left it up. I've been called far worse than that. Yeah, night all. It's been a privilege again. Nice chat again. And coming up soon, I'm going to be on now, mention it on here because some people there might not know about it. But Diecast and Modelers Community, they're on Facebook and on YouTube. And they're doing articles coming up on restoring old Dinky and Corgi and customising them. And other modelling, the Facebook groups for other modelling. So they're worth giving a look into if you're not in it. Anyway, and on that bombshell, tatty pie, everybody. Tatty pie. Drain babies. Oh, that is so bad, Chester. Keep your stick on the ice, dude. Happy birthday. I'm like Queen, I have 2 a year. Well, not Queen, King now, isn't it? Catch you during week, mate. Tatty pie, all. Definitely off now. I've done 2. No, I'm letting it go to 14. I'm not going out on a 13. So that. Right, 14 now. Tatty pie. Tatty pie, everyone. Bye.